Hi, welcome to the Culture Curators Podcast. We're here to share insights, information, and resources to help you become a more effective salon and business leader.
Hey everybody, welcome to our next episode of the Culture Curators Podcast. I am really excited about today's topic. We're going to be talking about leadership attitude. And this is something that is so important for you as a salon owner and leader to really think about. And you might even say or think, I'm not a leader. And the reality is that you signed up to be a leader the minute that you decided to start hiring people. And we're going to really get into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to lead well, what it takes to have the right mindset to lead. What do you think, Jill?
Awesome. Well, I remember hearing from someone when I had a poor leadership attitude, the fish rots from the head down. And that was a harsh reality to hear, but it was the truth. And so at the end of the day, the salon or the business will rise and fall according to you. And so what are you doing to impact the possibility of having a great success in your business? What are you doing to have a proper mindset, as Derek talked about? What are you doing to fulfill your cup of education, knowledge, and who are you aligning yourself with in order to have the proper attitude that you need to be a successful salon business owner?
Yeah, I think that when you really think about leadership and attitude, you have to think about learning yourself and knowing yourself. And when you know yourself, you can manage yourself, right? You can't manage yourself if you are unaware of certain tendencies. So for instance, if you have certain tendencies that repel people from approaching you, or let's use that as an example, well, that becomes a major detractor from your leadership.
Yeah, it does. And it just reminds me of our DISC personality style assessments.
That's what I was just thinking about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's all about learning about you. John Maxwell always talks about you need to know yourself in order to grow yourself. And I remember the first time I took the DISC personality assessment. And when I got the results, I'm like, well, I don't like that. That's not me. That is so not me. And I want to do it again. And we've actually heard people say that as well. And here's the reality, that really is me.
Now let me ask you something for the benefit of the audience, for those that might not know, what is DISC?
DISC is a personality assessment, and DISC is actually an acronym, and it stands for 4 different styles of behavior. And we take a look at what behavior styles come out most when you're in a relaxed state, what it looks like when you're in a stress state, and what you think other people expect you to act like. And we take a look at those discs. We really take a look under, what you think others expect you to act like. And we have a 33-page report all about you, which is amazing in some regards. And in other regards, it's like when I first read mine, I'm like, well, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. But the reality is that's who I am inherently. It doesn't mean that we can't strengthen different areas in our DISC assessment. It's like a muscle. We have to grow, we have to learn, we have to educate. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. We're talking about what is it that we need to grow and develop as the business owner, and to have the right attitude and the right leadership qualities in order to impact your team successfully.
Yeah, and I think when you own a commission-based salon and you have W-2 employees, you have a responsibility to lead, guide, direct them toward success and toward what you guys determine success is together for that person. And I think it's just really important to understand that it's not about you anymore. It's like, in a way, it's like being a parent, right? It's like, it's not about just you anymore. It's like you have these innocent children to like care for and take care of. And in a way, especially if you have younger stylists, I don't know how innocent they may be, but either way, you have young people that are inexperienced, right? And that you're the person that can kind of show them the path. And if you're a Mandalorian fan, it's like, this is the way. The whole reality is that being a great leader, it requires more of you. It requires you to become the best version of yourself. And you're going to need to become more than you ever thought you would ever need to be if you really want your business to get to the next step. And that's a huge component of pushing your brand like beyond your wildest dreams, or even fulfilling the dream that you have of what you see it could be. And although that dream changes and evolves over time, leadership will never change.
No.
Right? The principles of it, the core values of it will never change. And the
Right.
dynamic of you learning to accept, once I've realized too that the more people we've coached, until you fully accept that you really are in a leadership position and that everything that you do, every movement you make, it's like if you've ever ridden a motorcycle, or if you're on a snowboard, it's like where you turn your head, that it's going that way. The bike is going to go that way. If I look right, I'm going to lean my body without even realizing. And same thing if I go left. So it's just so key that you are aware of what's happening and you're aware of the impact that you have every single day on every single person.
Boy, isn't that the truth? And so when we take a look at leadership and attitude, honestly, we've seen some leaders that have kind of stinking thinking attitudes. And
Yeah, I think there's a lot of examples of that.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I think that I've walked down that journey a little bit in the past. And then we think about the John Maxwells of the world, who are probably the greatest leaders and leadership development coaches that there are. And so I want to take a look at what is it that you can do to up your game. Up your game. And first of all, I believe it's you've got to know yourself in order to grow yourself. Take a DISC personality assessment. If you need information on that, we'd be happy to provide that for you. Take a look at that and really, really embrace what it is that it says.
Yeah.
And then it's about, who are you going to align yourself with? Who is out there that has walked your walk, that has paved the way for you, so to speak? I think it's really interesting that John Maxwell, who is extraordinarily successful and by all rights quite wealthy, always talks about he wants to be in a room where he is the poorest, and I'm like, dude, that is getting harder by the day, and is the least intelligent, because he always wants to learn and grow and immerse himself in that. And so I have to ask you, and I have to challenge you, do you have that attitude? Do you want it that bad? Here's John Maxwell, who's probably close to a billionaire, if not a billionaire, sold millions of books, over 100 books written, is extraordinarily intelligent. And here he is talking about wanting to be the poorest man in the room and the least knowledgeable person in the room. Or are you one of those people who, like, I'm going to puff out my chest because I want to be the richest person in the room and I want to be the person that knows the most and I want everyone to know that? Big difference, you guys. Big difference.
Huge difference. And I think it also goes to, the attitude. When I think about leadership attitude, I really think about when something happens in your brand that you're unhappy with, when you have a challenge with a particular employee. Do you first go to place blame on others, or do you first look internally and say, what was my role as the leader? What could I have done better? What could I have done different to even avoid this whole situation? If it's an unavoidable situation, which sometimes it is, what could I have done better? Sometimes the answer might be nothing. Maybe you did it all as best you could, but honestly, I've almost never answered it that. It's always like, okay, well, I could have done this, or if I was, more calculated in the way that I approached it, or if I didn't break my 24-hour rule, or things like that, where it's easy to place blame, it's easy to point fingers. But when you think about something that disrupts or happens within your culture, you have to, as a leader, if you really want to grow to a high level of leadership, you have to look internally. You have to say, it's on me. It's on me no matter what. It's like, again, you know me, I'm always going to go back to a sports reference. And it's like the head coach of a football team, do you know how much moving parts there are on a team? Not everything is going to be able for that coach to like actually control. But you know what? When something goes wrong, it always falls on the head coach. When something goes wrong in your culture, it's going to always fall on you. You're the head coach. So you have to own that, take it on, and learn how to navigate through it, and then learn through failing forward so that you can make progress. And also, this is a great way to show your team,
Absolutely.
And set the example for what it looks like when a mistake is made. Because think about this as well. If they make a mistake, Are they thinking the same thing? Of course they are. They're like, well, whose fault is it? Who can I blame first, as opposed to looking internally?
We've heard that one a million times.
Absolutely.
Not my fault. It's it's
Yeah.
something else. It's never my fault. And so let's talk about ways in which we can help people equip themselves to have a better attitude, more leadership skills. And let's face it, I mean, not every day is a stellar day for us. There are some days that our attitude is really superior, and there are other days that we have to work a little bit harder in order to get to that superior attitude. So maybe share with us, Derek, what are some ways that you work on your mindset in your leadership attitude?
For me, the number one thing is my morning routine. If I am breaking my morning stride of the routine, the stride of the routine, I'm already off for the day. So I have to have a certain set timing that I wake up. I exercise every morning. It's just a part of like my mental and physical well-being. It definitely starts there. And then I really think about, what do you consume as far as content? Content, when we think about it, we're going to think about, obviously social media. It's like, what kind of, are you scrolling through like the drama type posts all the time? And are you just kind of swirling in that? You're telling your subconscious that that's what you want, It's your friend circle, who you surround yourself with and spend time with. It's what you read. It's what you consume on a regular basis, whether it's entertainment or whether it's educational. To me, those things heavily impact the way that I think. And it's definitely the type of books I read or choose not to read. Those things are a really great first step in getting toward, and that's kind of how I got introduced even to the John Maxwell thing, because it was like I was just trying to become a better leader. I wanted to learn, and I didn't know, like, a lot of this stuff is not innate skill. It's an acquired skill. So you have to take the time to learn it.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And who's your close circle of friends? Who is it that you hang with? Who is it that you spend time with? And I can't remember exactly what the saying is, but I think it's something around, you are the sum of the top 4 people that you spend the most time with. And so as you look at that, are those people that align with your values? Are those people that align with your culture? And what you want to aspire to be? Or are they just kind of run of the mill? Or are they always trying to bring you down? Do they have a negative attitude, or they see the glass always half empty versus half full? And I think that that's huge, because what you feed yourself, what you feed your brain, is what you truly become. Yeah. And it's critical that you take steps every single day. And we talked about it in a different podcast, making a schedule for yourself to use your time better. And I think that part of that scheduling should be about improvement. Yeah. Improvement on your leadership skills, improvement on your attitude. We all need to be refreshed. We all need to be revived, so to speak. And let's face it, you know what? Today, it's difficult to run a business. It's very difficult to be a salon owner. There's a million things coming at you every single day, and you need to make sure that you're empowering your own well-being to have the tools and the resources that you need in order to accomplish the tasks that you have and to keep that good attitude going. Yeah,
it's just so key. I think, when your team sees that you're willing to grow and push yourself, it creates that for everybody. And, I can't stress enough how important it is for you to just focus on leadership skills and learning them. And this is the reality. When you're a leader, you cannot be a leader and a victim at the same time. You can't, right?
Yeah, say that one again.
You cannot be a leader and a victim at the same time. The two do not coexist. So being a victim is a woe is me attitude. It's something, there's another variable that's always in control outside of yourself. It also creates a lack of accountability when you play victim, because it's like, well, this woe is me. I couldn't help it. It's happening to me, as opposed to you're making things happen. And a lot of times we get lost in that swirl of negativity, and then it's like we are kind of bringing more negative to us, and we don't even necessarily realize it. So when you're an owner, and again, that's going to always trickle down to your team. Right. So when you're an owner, you have to realize that in order to create a healthy environment of growth, a healthy environment of leadership, you need to work on yourself and your skill set, and most importantly, which this whole topic is about, your attitude.
Yeah, attitude is everything, and you will rise and fall according to your attitude. So, you get to make a choice at the end of the day. I would say choose very wisely because your livelihood, your life depends on your attitude.
Yeah, and I love that you just said that, because the reality is you get to actually make a choice every single morning when you wake up of what your attitude is going to be.
Yeah.
Do you decide to feel grateful for the fact that you woke up and for the great things going on? Or do you decide to wake up in the morning and the first things you are thinking about are the negative things that are maybe happening, right? That sets the tone so much.
Yeah, I have a friend, his name is Michael Nicholas, and Michael is probably one of the most charismatic, one of the most wonderful people that you could ever imagine being around, and he always has a positive attitude. And one day, many, many years ago, I asked him, Michael, why is it that you always have such a great attitude? I just have never seen anyone with such a great attitude. And he said, listen, it's a choice. Every single day I wake up and I think, thank God I'm awake. And so I've got the next 24 hours. I get to choose how I'm going to do it. And I choose to be happy. I choose to be positive. And guess what? That really flowed into his salon business and into his team. And is it any wonder that he had a hugely successful salon business? If ever you want to talk about leadership or enhance your leadership skills, we're always available. Feel free to reach out to us and schedule a complimentary discovery call. We'd love the opportunity to meet you and help you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Culture Curators Podcast. Please like, comment, follow, and subscribe.